Hey, I have a very special guest today, Kent Amos. And Kent, you have one of the most fascinating life stories I've ever heard. And I still want to write your screenplay someday. That's still in my heart to do. But for today, I wanted to have you on our show and talk to you about one aspect of your life that, oh my God, I cried the first time I heard your story. I'll never forget the day that we first spoke about it. And I just want to introduce you to the show, Passionate Living today. Thank you for being with us. Welcome.
I am privileged to be here, especially when you have a title of a show around the notion of passion, because that's what I am, a very passionate person.
The day we met was such. Do you want to share that story? I'll let you share it because you.
Okay, well, it was the homegoing service of my dearly beloved grandmother of sorts, Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, true legacy and a history maker in her own right, and someone who, in fact, the only woman who was involved in the original March on Washington from a leadership standpoint. And again, I hear today that Reverend Al Sharpton has called for another March on Washington. And again, so the story of Dr. Height is probably another show in and of itself in terms of my relationship with her. But again, we were both there celebrating her homegoing. Yeah. And by the way, Catherine, for your information, you may not remember where we ended up in terms of interning her, but she's not far from my parents, so I see her regularly.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. She became a real life hero to me, as she is for so many people. I fell in love with her on our first meeting, and she changed my life.
A quick note on that. At that time, I was a vice president of Xerox as one of my chapters in my life. Right. And I was a new vice president, and I was a young man. I was 35 years of age, which was more than 50 years ago now for me. But I was 35 and at a meeting in New York with some of the prominent figures in the life of the Black community over time, the likes of Jesse Jackson, the Congressional Black Caucus leadership, and other distinguished individuals were in that room. And I was the youngest person in the room by far. I knew of Dr. Height. I knew who she was. I had never really spent any time with her or in a sense met her. And midway through the meeting, at the break, she said, "Would you come over and see me? Sit down. Come over and see me." And I went over and she said, "Sit down." I sat down, and I said, "Can I help you, Dr. Height?" She just sit there. Meeting started back up, and I still sitting there next to her, and I kept saying, "Can I help you, Dr. Height?" She just sit there. So when the meeting was over, she said, "You need help, young man, and I intend to help you. And I expect you to be in my office on Monday morning." Now, we were in New York. Her office was in Washington, and my office was in Washington. So I went and saw her, and she changed my life from there. I sat at her footstool on that Monday morning, and I can't tell you how many times after that I continued to sit at her footstool.
Will you tell me a little bit about the chapter of your life with young people and how you used your passion to make a difference in the world?
We had just moved back to Washington, where I was from. My wife was from Philadelphia. They had always lived in idyllic kind of conditions, but now, and we still were living with one, like I said, a gated community, a 5,000 square foot home, and all the things that go with the trappings of an executive of a major corporation. But for me, my passion said that this public education is still where they go. And my wife said it's not going to work. He's going to go to private school. Well, we talked about it much as a family and ultimately realized that we were gifted, and now it's our responsibility to return those gifts. So they said, okay, we're going to try it out, put them in public schools. And Wesley came home with 3 boys from his new high school basketball summer league team, all of whom could use the resources that we had available to them. Okay. And as a result of that, from 1978 to 1992, we took in 87 teenagers. And the purpose of us involving ourselves in their lives was to give to them what we had to offer to supplement what they already had. And as a result of that experience, we sent 73 kids to college. 60 have graduated. One of those 73 and one of those 60, actually, one of those called me today.
I know we have to do the abridged story. And like I say, this is a whole screenplay. But how did you start taking children into your home? And what did you do? You helped them with homework after school, right?
So we started asking questions, and we realized that all three of them had repeated at least one grade. All three of them didn't know where their fathers were. All three of them had been incarcerated. So when we went upstairs after dinner and we sent them home by way of Wesley, we looked at each other, my wife and I, and said, okay, what are we going to do about this? How do we use our capacity to change their lives like others did my life? And so we said to them, we're going to provide to you everything you need as if you were our own children, Wesley and Debbie. And what that means, house you, clothe you, feed you, educate you, do whatever it takes to see to it you have that opportunity.
When you committed this to these three young men, how did that manifest? You brought them to your home every day after school to help?
I picked them up every day after school, and I brought them home, and we all had dinners together, the three of them plus us, and my wife cooked dinner, and we had dinner as a family, and we had a rule in the house. We were going to study at least 3 hours every night together. Right. Now, so we sat and we studied and we ate. We did all the things necessary that families must do.
I mean, Ken, what you've done, what you did with those young people, I met some of them several years back. They're adults now. And every single one of the young people that showed up that evening with you shared how you had changed their lives. I mean, one young man said you bought him his first suit and showed him how to be at a job interview, how to look somebody in the eyes and shake their hand, and basic things that they weren't getting because they didn't have fathers. Maybe their parents were working, whatever, in the community. They just didn't have that kind of support. But you gave them a home. You gave them love. They called you dad or pop. And it just, that's what makes a difference in this world. That's how this world is going to change. That's how young people are going to find hope. That's how a difference is going to be made if every person just did one thing. And you did way more than one thing. You took in 87 young people into your home and as your children. You, like I said, you started these charter schools in Washington. You have done so much work through the years to affect the lives of young people and to affect education. And I just want to ask you this question. I think deep in most people's hearts, they want to see this be a better world. They want to see young people have more opportunity. But I think most people get caught in that trap where they're like, well, what can I do? But clearly, one person can make a huge difference in this world, like you did. What would you tell a person like that if they have that mindset, well, what can one person do? Or I'm afraid to make that step, or, you know, I couldn't do that possibly. How would you get someone to
let me give an example of something that actually happened to help answer that question.
Okay.
Later on in the years, went from more boys to more girls because our daughters started getting older.
Right.
So they had girls around. So one of the mothers of one of the girls at the time, who was at the house, and she said, Mr. Amos, I really appreciate what you're doing for my daughter. And I feel helpless. I don't know what to do. I can't do anything. And I said to her, can you sit? And she said, yeah, I can sit. I said, come and sit. She said, what do you mean? I said, just come to the house when we are doing our study period and just sit. Now, one thing, the girl, your daughter might be a little, put out because mom's sitting up in the room with her girlfriends, but just come and sit. And she did. I have to say that she changed not only her own life and her daughter's life. She went on to get a degree, has a master's. The mother did not have a degree at the time.
Wow.
So she went on to get her GED, and her daughter graduated from college the same year.
Oh, thank you, Ken, so much for being here with us today. I love talking with you. I love your stories and the wisdom that you carry with you from this amazing life that you have lived, and this passionate path that you have forged is just so beautiful to share with others. I'm so grateful to you. I'm grateful to how you show up in this world. I'm so grateful I met you that day. No doubt, Dr. Height
Had a lot to do
had
with it.
something to do with
Right.
with making sure we met as well.
Right.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you to you. Thank you to your staff and all, and to your audience. I wish you well and be safe.
Thank you so much.